Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge of the UTS Sentinel, gazing out at the shimmering expanse of stars that filled the viewport. The vast emptiness of space never ceased to amaze her, a reminder of both humanity's insignificance and its boundless potential. Her crew moved with practiced precision around her, preparing for the routine patrol that had become a part of their daily life on the fringes of known space. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady and authoritative. "All systems green, Captain," replied Lieutenant Jason Harlow, her second-in-command. "No anomalies detected within our sector." Trent nodded, her eyes still fixed on the stars. "Keep an eye on the scanners. We're too far from the core worlds to be complacent." Harlow gave a sharp salute and returned to his station. Trent allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. It had been years since she first donned the uniform of the United Terran Confederation, rising through the ranks with a mixture of determination, skill, and a bit of luck. The Sentinel was her command now, and she took pride in her ship and crew. Suddenly, a series of alarms blared through the bridge, shattering the tranquility. Trent snapped to attention, her heart pounding. "Report," she barked. "Multiple unidentified vessels just dropped out of warp," Harlow responded, his face pale. "They're on an intercept course." Trent's mind raced. On screen. The viewport shifted, displaying a fleet of sleek, menacing ships. They were unlike anything Trent had ever seen, with dark, organic-looking hulls that seemed to pulse with an eerie light. "Xylarthians. Xylarthians," she whispered, recognizing the ships from intelligence briefings. The ancient alien race was believed to be a myth by many, a story to frighten children. But here they were, very real and undeniably hostile. "Battle stations," Trent ordered. The crew sprang into action, their training taking over. The Sentinel's shields flared to life, and the hum of the weapon systems charging filled the air. "Incoming transmission," said Ensign Jada Lee, her fingers flying over the communications console. "It's from the lead Xylarthian ship." "Put it through," Trent commanded, steeling herself for whatever was to come. The image on the screen shifted to reveal a Xylarthian leader, its features obscured by shadows and the alien equivalent of a uniform. Its voice, when it spoke, was a low, resonant hum that sent chills down Trent's spine. "Humans," it began, "you have encroached upon our domain. For this, you will be eradicated." The transmission ended abruptly, and the Xylarthian ships surged forward. "Evasive maneuvers," Trent shouted. "Return fire!" The Sentinel shuddered as the first volley of Xylarthian energy weapons struck its shields. Trent gripped the edge of her command console, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Her crew fought valiantly, but the Xylarthian ships were faster, more agile, and their weapons more powerful. "Shields at 60%, Harlow reported, his voice strained. "Focus fire on the lead ship," Trent ordered. "We need to break their formation." The Sentinel's guns roared to life, targeting the Xylarthian flagship. Explosions rippled across its surface, but the alien vessel remained undeterred. In response, a concentrated barrage slammed into the Sentinel, sending sparks flying from overloaded consoles. "Shields failing," shouted Chief Engineer Marta Guzman from her station. Trent's mind raced, searching for a way out. The Xylarthians had them outgunned and outmaneuvered. They needed a miracle. "All hands, brace for impact," she yelled as another wave of enemy fire approached. But before the final blow could land, a brilliant flash of light filled the viewport. Trent shielded her eyes, and when she looked again, the Xylarthian ships were gone, leaving behind only the wreckage of the battle. "What just happened?" she demanded. Harlow checked his readings, his expression one of disbelief. "It looks like they were pulled into a subspace anomaly. It appeared out of nowhere." Trent exhaled, relief washing over her. "Damage report." "Significant," Guzman replied, "but we're still in one piece." Trent nodded. "Good. Get us back to the nearest station for repairs, and someone get me a secure line to command. They need to know what we encountered out here." As the Sentinel limped back toward friendly territory, Trent couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The Xylarthians were real, and they had declared war on humanity. It was up to her and her crew to make sure they were ready for whatever came next. For now, the storm had passed, but the war was just beginning. Captain Mara Trent stood in the bustling command center of the United Terran Confederation's primary fleet headquarters. The encounter with the Xylarthians had shaken her to the core. but she was determined to fight back. The room buzzed with activity as officers relayed orders, monitored incoming reports, and coordinated the various branches of the UTC military. Admiral Elias Voss, a towering figure with a stern demeanor, approached Trent. "Captain Trent, your report was alarming. The Xylarthians are a threat we can't ignore. We've decided to give you full command of a special task force. Your mission is to uncover their weaknesses and find a way to defeat them." Trent nodded, her resolve firm. "Understood, Admiral. I already have some candidates in mind for the team." Voss handed her a dossier. "Here's a list of personnel we've vetted for this mission. Choose who you think will serve best." Trent took the dossier and left the command center, heading to her temporary quarters to review the files. The list contained some of the best and brightest in the Confederation, but one name stood out: Dr. Elias Voss, a reclusive scientist known for his groundbreaking work on ancient artifacts and advanced technologies. Later that day, Trent found herself in a dimly lit lab deep within the Confederation's research and development complex. Dr. Elias Voss was hunched over a holographic display, muttering to himself as he adjusted various settings. He was a tall, thin man with unkempt hair and an air of distracted genius. "Dr. Voss," Trent called out, breaking his concentration. Voss looked up, blinking in surprise. "Captain Trent, I wasn't expecting visitors." "I'm here to recruit you for a mission," Trent said, cutting to the chase. "We've encountered the Xylarthians, and we need your expertise. You believe the Crucible of Ascendancy can help us, don't you?" Voss's eyes lit up with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "The Crucible. Yes, I believe it holds the key to unlocking humanity's hidden potential, but it's dangerous, untested." "We don't have the luxury of time," Trent replied. "I need you on my team. Can I count on you?" Voss hesitated for a moment before nodding. "All right, Captain. I'll do it." With Voss on board, Trent's next stop was the military training facility to recruit Lieutenant Aria Cole, a renowned pilot and combat strategist. Cole was in the middle of a flight simulation when Trent approached. "Lieutenant Cole, I need you for a mission. We're going after the Xylarthians, and I need the best pilot in the fleet," Trent said, watching as Cole effortlessly maneuvered her virtual fighter through a series of complex maneuvers. Cole exited the simulator and removed her helmet, her eyes sharp and focused. "Count me in, Captain. I've been itching for a real challenge." The final member of the core team was Sergeant Darius Kane, a seasoned ground operative with a reputation for getting the job done, no matter the odds. Trent found him in the armory, meticulously inspecting his weapons. "Sergeant Kane, I have a mission that requires your particular set of skills," Trent said. "We're going to be facing the Xylarthians, and I need someone who can handle the toughest situations on the ground." Kane looked up, his expression stoic. "If it means taking the fight to them, I'm in." With her core team assembled, Trent returned to the Sentinel, where her crew was already making repairs and preparing for the upcoming mission. She gathered everyone in the briefing room, a large circular space with a central holographic display. "Listen up, everyone," Trent began, her voice commanding attention. "We are facing an enemy unlike any we've encountered before. The Xylarthians are powerful, and they have declared war on humanity. Our mission is to find a way to stop them." She activated the holographic display, showing the star charts and data they had gathered so far. Dr. Voss believes that an ancient artifact, the Crucible of Ascendancy, holds the key to our success. We will be venturing into uncharted territories to find it and unlock its secrets. This mission will be dangerous, but it is essential for our survival. Voss stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "The Crucible is located in a region of space known as the Obsidian Nebula. It is heavily guarded and surrounded by treacherous space anomalies. We will need to be at our best to navigate through it." Trent looked around the room, meeting the eyes of her crew. "We are humanity's best hope. Let's show the Xylarthians what we're made of. Prepare for departure in 48 hours. Dismissed." As the crew dispersed to ready themselves, Trent felt a surge of determination. They had a long and perilous journey ahead, but she had faith in her team. Together, they would uncover the secrets of the Crucible and find a way to defeat the Xylarthians. The calm before the storm had passed. Now, the real battle was about to begin. The UTS Sentinel glided silently through the inky blackness of space, its crew on high alert, Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the star charts displayed on the main screen. The Obsidian Nebula, their destination, loomed ahead, a swirling mass of cosmic dust and energy storms. "Captain, all systems are operational and the crew is ready," Lieutenant Jason Harlow reported. "Good," Trent replied. "Engage the warp drive and set course for the Obsidian Nebula. Let's see what we're dealing with." The Sentinel's engines roared to life, propelling the ship into warp. As the stars stretched into streaks of light, Trent felt a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but she knew they had no other choice. Hours later, the Sentinel dropped out of warp at the edge of the Obsidian Nebula. The view from the bridge was breathtaking, a vast expanse of swirling gases and energy illuminated by the distant glow of stars. "Scanners are picking up multiple anomalies within the nebula," Harlow reported. "It's going to be a tricky navigation, Captain." "Take us in slowly," Trent ordered. "I want continuous scans and updates on any potential threats." As the Sentinel moved into the nebula, the ship's sensors worked overtime, mapping out the hazardous terrain. Dr. Elias Voss was in the science lab, analyzing the data and searching for any signs of the Crucible of Ascendancy. "Captain, I'm detecting a faint energy signature that matches the Crucible's profile." Voss's voice crackled over the comm. "It's deeper within the nebula, but I believe we can reach it." "Understood, Dr. Voss," Trent replied. "Helm, adjust our course and proceed with caution." The Sentinel weaved its way through the nebula, avoiding pockets of volatile energy and gravitational distortions. The crew worked in unison, their focus unwavering. "Captain, we're detecting multiple vessels on an intercept course," Harlow announced, his tone tense. "Can you identify them?" Trent asked. Harlow's fingers flew over the console. "They're Xylarthian, Captain. It looks like a patrol group." Trent's jaw tightened. "Ed, battle stations. Prepare for engagement." The Xylarthian ships appeared on the view screen, sleek and menacing. They moved with a predatory grace, their weapons glowing with an ominous light. "Open a channel," Trent ordered. The comm crackled to life, and the image of a Xylarthian commander filled the screen. Its eyes glowed with an eerie intensity. "Humans, you have entered forbidden space," the commander intoned. "You will be destroyed." Trent's response was swift and resolute. "This is Captain Mara Trent of the UTS Sentinel. We are on a mission of exploration and seek no conflict, but if you engage us, we will defend ourselves." The Xylarthian commander sneered. "Your words are meaningless. Prepare to be annihilated." The transmission ended, and the Xylarthian ships opened fire. Energy blasts lanced through the void, striking the Sentinel's shields and causing the ship to shudder. "Return fire," Trent commanded. The Sentinel's weapons roared to life, targeting the nearest Xylarthian ship. Explosions rippled across its hull, but the alien vessel remained intact. "Shields at 70%, Harlow reported. "Keep up the pressure," Trent said, her voice steady. "We need to break their formation." Lieutenant Aria Cole, now at the helm, executed a series of evasive maneuvers, weaving the Sentinel through the enemy fire. Her skills as a pilot were unmatched, and she managed to position the ship for a counterattack. "Fire torpedoes!" Trent ordered. A volley of torpedoes streaked towards the lead Xylarthian ship, striking it with devastating force. The alien vessel erupted in a ball of fire, debris scattering in all directions. "One down," Cole muttered, her eyes focused on the next target. The remaining Xylarthian ships continued their assault, but the Sentinel's crew fought back with everything they had. Dr. Voss monitored the battle from the science lab, his mind racing for a solution. "Captain, I have an idea," Voss said over the comm. "If we can lure the Xylarthian ships into one of the larger energy anomalies, it might disrupt their systems long enough for us to escape." Trent considered the plan for a moment. "Do it, Cole. Plot a course through the nearest anomaly. Harlow, relay the coordinates to the weapons team." The Sentinel dove towards the energy anomaly, the Xylarthian ships in hot pursuit. As they approached the swirling vortex of energy, Trent held her breath. "Now!" she shouted. The Sentinel veered sharply, skirting the edge of the anomaly. The Xylarthian ships followed, but as they entered the anomaly, their systems faltered. Energy surges rippled through their hulls, causing massive damage. "All ships are disabled, Captain," Harlow reported, a note of triumph in his voice. "Good work, everyone," Trent said. "Let's get out of here before more of them show up." Resume course to the Crucible's coordinates. The Sentinel navigated through the nebula, the crew's spirits lifted by their victory. As they drew closer to the source of the energy signature, the ship's sensors picked up a massive structure ahead. "Captain, we're approaching what appears to be a large space station," Harlow said. "It matches the descriptions of the Crucible's location." "Prepare for docking," Trent ordered, "and keep your eyes open. We don't know what we might find inside." The Sentinel eased towards the ancient station, its exterior covered in strange runes and symbols. As they docked, Trent gathered her team. "Dr. Voss, Lieutenant Cole, Sergeant Kane, you're with me," she said. "The rest of you, stay on high alert and be ready for anything." As the airlock cycled open, Trent and her team stepped into the unknown, ready to uncover the secrets of the Crucible of Ascendancy. Captain Mara Trent led her team through the dimly lit corridors of the ancient space station. The walls were covered in strange, pulsating runes, casting an eerie glow. Dr. Elias Voss walked beside her, his eyes wide with fascination. Behind them, Lieutenant Aria Cole and Sergeant Darius Kane moved with practiced vigilance, their weapons at the ready. "This place is incredible," Voss murmured, running a hand along the wall. "The technology here is far beyond anything we've seen." "Stay focused, Doctor," Trent said, her eyes scanning the shadows for any signs of danger. "We need to find the Crucible." They moved deeper into the station, the air growing colder. Suddenly, a loud clanging echoed through the corridors, followed by the sound of footsteps. Trent raised her hand, signaling the team to stop. "Contact," Kane whispered, his weapon aimed at the source of the noise. From the darkness emerged a group of tall, slender aliens with dark, shimmering skin and large, luminescent eyes. They wore intricate armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal. Trent recognized them from the intelligence reports. The Xylarthians. "Hold your fire," she ordered. "Let's see what they want." One of the Xylarthians stepped forward, its eyes locked on Trent. It spoke in a resonant, almost musical tone. "Humans, you have trespassed in a sacred place. Why are you here?" Trent took a step forward, meeting the Xylarthian's gaze. "We seek the Crucible of Ascendancy. We believe it holds the key to our survival and the survival of many others in the galaxy." The Xylarthian tilted its head, considering her words. "The Crucible is a powerful artifact, guarded for millennia. Why should we allow you to take it?" Dr. Voss stepped forward, his voice earnest. "The Xylarthians have faced great challenges, just as humanity has. We don't seek to take the Crucible for power. We seek it to protect our people from a threat that endangers us all." The Xylarthian leader regarded Voss for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well. We will allow you to proceed. But know this, the Crucible tests those who seek its power. Only the worthy may wield it." "Thank you," Trent said. "We won't let you down." The Xylarthians stepped aside, allowing the team to continue. As they moved forward, Voss glanced at Trent. "That was unexpected. We've just made an uneasy alliance with the Xylarthians." "Let's hope it holds," Trent replied. "We still have a long way to go." Deeper within the station, the team reached a large, circular chamber. At its center stood a pedestal, upon which rested a shimmering, multifaceted crystal, the Crucible of Ascendancy. The air around it seemed to hum with energy. "We found it," Voss breathed, stepping forward. "Careful," Kane warned, his eyes scanning the room for any signs of danger. Voss approached the Crucible, his hands trembling with anticipation. As he reached out to touch it, a wave of energy pulsed through the chamber, knocking him back. "Doctor!" Trent shouted, rushing to his side. "I'm fine," Voss said, struggling to his feet. "The Crucible is testing us." Suddenly, the chamber's walls began to shift, revealing hidden compartments that opened to release small spherical drones. The drones buzzed with lethal intent, converging on the team. "Defensive positions," Trent ordered. "Cole, Kane, take them down." Cole's and Kane's weapons blazed to life, firing precise bursts at the approaching drones. Trent joined in, her pulse rifle tearing through the swarm. Despite their best efforts, the drones continued to come, their numbers seemingly endless. "We need to deactivate them," Voss shouted over the din. "There must be a control mechanism." Trent's eyes scanned the chamber, spotting a series of intricate runes on the far wall. "There, Voss, see if you can shut them down." Voss sprinted to the runes, his fingers flying over the alien symbols. The drones pressed closer, but Cole and Kane held the line, their fire unwavering. "Hurry, Doctor!" Trent urged, blasting another drone out of the air. With a final, desperate push, Voss activated the control mechanism. The drone suddenly froze, then dropped lifelessly to the floor. "It's done," Voss panted, turning back to the Crucible. "Let's finish this." As the team regrouped, Voss approached the Crucible once more. This time, he moved with greater caution, studying the patterns of energy that radiated from it. He reached out, his fingers brushing the crystal's surface. The energy pulsed again, but this time it seemed to recognize him. The Crucible glowed brighter, its light filling the chamber. Voss's eyes widened as he felt a surge of knowledge and power flow through him. He turned to Trent, his face alight with understanding. "We did it," he said. "The Crucible is ours." Trent allowed herself a small smile. "Good work, everyone. Let's get back to the Sentinel. We have what we came for." As they made their way back to the ship, the Xylarthian leader reappeared, flanked by its guards. "You have passed the test," it said. "But know this, the Crucible's power comes with great responsibility. Use it wisely." "We will," Trent promised. "Thank you for your help." The Xylarthian leader nodded. "Go in peace, humans, and may our paths cross again under better circumstances." Back on the Sentinel, the crew welcomed Trent and her team with relieved smiles. The Crucible was safely secured, and the ship set course for home. As they journeyed through the stars, Trent couldn't shake the feeling that their mission was far from over. The Crucible of Ascendancy had given them a powerful tool, but the true test was yet to come. They would need to forge new alliances, face old enemies, and unlock the full potential of the Crucible if they were to stand a chance against the Xylarthian threat. But for now, they had taken a crucial step forward, and that was enough. The UTS Sentinel cruised through the vast expanse of space, its crew busy repairing the damage sustained in their previous skirmishes and preparing for the journey ahead. Captain Mara Trent stood in the science lab, watching as Dr. Elias Voss examined the Crucible of Ascendancy. The ancient artifact pulsed with a steady, rhythmic light, casting eerie shadows across the room. "Doctor, how's it looking?" Trent asked, breaking the silence. Voss looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of awe and determination. "The Crucible is unlike anything we've ever encountered. Its energy readings are off the charts, and I believe it has the ability to tap into a form of quantum energy that we've only theorized about." "What does that mean for us?" Trent asked, her curiosity piqued. "It means that the Crucible can potentially enhance human capabilities beyond our current understanding," Voss explained. "But unlocking its full potential requires us to decipher its intricate mechanisms and safeguards." Trent nodded, her mind racing with the possibilities. "How long do you think it will take?" Voss shook his head. "It's hard to say. We're dealing with technology that's thousands of years ahead of ours. But I'm confident that with time and careful study, we can unlock its secrets." Later, in the briefing room, Trent gathered her core team. Lieutenant Aria Cole and Sergeant Darius Kane took their seats, their faces reflecting the same determination Trent felt. "Dr. Voss believes the Crucible can enhance human capabilities," Trent began. "But we need to understand how it works before we can use it to its full potential." "We're going to need more than just our team," Kane said. "We need specialists, scientists, engineers, and maybe even some diplomats to help us navigate the political landscape that's bound to get more complicated." Trent agreed. "We're also going to need allies. The Xylarthians are powerful, and we can't defeat them alone. We need to build a coalition." "I've been working on reaching out to some of the other species we've encountered," Cole said. "It's not going to be easy, but I think we can convince them to join us if we show them what's at stake." Trent looked around the table, feeling the weight of their mission. "We have our work cut out for us, but if we succeed, we can change the course of this war. Let's get to it." Over the next few days, the Sentinel's crew worked tirelessly to repair the ship and study the Crucible. Voss spent countless hours in the lab, deciphering the ancient runes and analyzing the artifact's energy patterns. Cole coordinated with the diplomatic corps to establish contact with potential allies, while Kane oversaw the training and preparation of the ship's security teams. One evening, as the ship cruised through the dark void of space, Voss called Trent to the lab. "Captain, I think I've made a breakthrough." Trent arrived to find Voss standing before the Crucible, his face illuminated by its pulsating light. "What have you found?" "I've managed to activate one of the Crucible's secondary functions," Voss explained. "It appears to have a holographic interface that can provide us with information about its capabilities." As Voss spoke, the Crucible emitted a soft hum, and a holographic display materialized above it. Symbols and diagrams filled the air, accompanied by a melodic, alien voice that seemed to resonate within the chamber. "The Crucible speaks of a process called ascendancy," Voss said, his eyes wide with excitement. "It's a form of energy enhancement that can amplify human abilities, physical strength, cognitive function, even healing." Trent stared at the holographic display, her mind racing. "Can we control it? Can we use it to our advantage?" Voss nodded slowly. "With time and study, I believe we can. But we need to be careful. The Crucible's power is immense, and if we misuse it, the consequences could be catastrophic." Trent placed a hand on Voss's shoulder. "You're doing incredible work, Doctor. Keep at it. We're counting on you." As the days turned into weeks, the Sentinel continued its journey, making contact with various alien species and forging new alliances. The diplomatic efforts led by Cole began to bear fruit, as more and more species agreed to join the coalition against the Xylarthians. The news of the Crucible's potential spread, galvanizing support and fostering a sense of hope among the galaxy's disparate civilizations. One night, as Trent reviewed the latest reports in her quarters, she received an urgent call from the bridge. "Captain, we've picked up a distress signal from a nearby planet. It's one of our allies. They're under attack by Xylarthian forces." Trent's heart pounded. "Set a course and prepare for battle. We need to help them." The Sentinel surged into action, its crew moving with practiced efficiency. As they approached the planet, the sight of Xylarthian ships bombarding the surface filled the view screen. "Battle stations," Trent ordered. "We need to drive them off and protect our allies." The Sentinel's weapons roared to life, unleashing a torrent of firepower on the Xylarthian ships. The enemy responded in kind, and the void of space lit up with the fury of battle. "Shields holding at 80%, Harlow reported. "We're taking heavy fire." "Focus on the lead ship," Trent commanded. "If we can take it out, the others might retreat." As the Sentinel maneuvered through the chaos, its guns blazing, Trent felt a surge of determination. The Crucible had given them hope, but it was their courage and unity that would see them through this fight. "Impact in 10 seconds, Cole shouted, steering the ship through a barrage of enemy fire. "Fire all forward batteries," Trent yelled. The Sentinel's cannons unleashed a devastating salvo, striking the lead Xylarthian ship with pinpoint accuracy. Explosions rippled across its hull, and the alien vessel began to break apart. "They're retreating," Harlow called out. "We did it." The crew erupted in cheers, but Trent knew this was only a small victory in a much larger war. As the Xylarthian ships vanished into the void, she took a deep breath and steadied herself. "Good work, everyone," she said. "Let's assist the planet's surface and ensure their safety." In the aftermath of the battle, the Sentinel's crew helped their allies rebuild and recover. The Crucible's potential continued to be a beacon of hope, but Trent knew they still had a long way to go. Back on the ship, Voss continued his work, unlocking more of the Crucible's secrets. Each discovery brought them closer to understanding the true power of the artifact and how it could be used to turn the tide of the war. As the Sentinel prepared to depart, Trent stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but she had faith in her crew and their mission. They had the Crucible, they had new allies, and they had a chance to change the future. The journey ahead would be difficult, but together, they would face whatever challenges came their way. The Crucible of Ascendancy was their key to survival, and they would unlock its full potential, no matter the cost. The UTS Sentinel cruised through the dark expanse of space, its crew on high alert. Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the star charts displayed on the main screen. The ship had just left their recently aided allies and was now en route to a rendezvous point with another coalition fleet. The atmosphere aboard was tense but hopeful. Their recent victory had boosted morale. "Captain, we're approaching the rendezvous coordinates," Lieutenant Jason Harlow reported. "Any sign of the coalition fleet?" Trent asked, her eyes scanning the view outside the bridge. Harlow frowned as he checked his instruments. Nothing yet. They should be here. Trent felt a knot of unease form in her stomach. Keep scanning. Let's not take any chances. As the Sentinel drifted closer to the rendezvous point, the silence of space seemed to press in on them. Suddenly, the ship's sensors blared to life, filling the bridge with urgent alarms. Multiple contacts inbound, Harlow shouted. They're Xylarthian ships. Trent's heart sank. Battle stations. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. The Xylarthian ships materialized from the void, their sleek, menacing forms cutting through the darkness. The Sentinel's crew scrambled to their stations, the hum of the ship's weapons systems filling the air. Open a channel, Trent ordered. The comm crackled to life, and the image of a Xylarthian commander appeared on the screen. Its eyes glowed with a cold, malevolent light. Humans, the commander intoned, you have fallen into our trap. Surrender, and we may spare your lives. Trent's jaw tightened. We will never surrender. We fight for our survival and the survival of our allies. The Xylarthian commander sneered. Then you will perish. The transmission ended abruptly, and the Xylarthian ships opened fire. Energy blasts lanced through the void, slamming into the Sentinel's shields and causing the ship to shudder. Evasive maneuvers, Trent shouted. Return fire. The Sentinel's guns roared to life, targeting the nearest Xylarthian ship. Explosions rippled across its hull, but the alien vessel remained intact, its weapons continuing to hammer the Sentinel's shields. Shields at 60%, Harlow reported. Focus on the lead ship, Trent ordered. We need to break their formation. Lieutenant Aria Cole's fingers flew over the helm controls, executing a series of sharp maneuvers to evade the Xylarthian fire. Her piloting skills were unmatched, but the enemy ships were relentless. Captain, they're trying to flank us. Sergeant Darius Kane warned from his tactical station. Deploy countermeasures, Trent commanded. We need to buy ourselves some time. The Sentinel released a barrage of decoys and electronic jammers, momentarily confusing the Xylarthian targeting system, but the respite was short-lived, as the alien ships quickly adjusted and resumed their assault. Captain, we can't hold out much longer, Harlow said, his voice strained. We need a plan. Trent's mind raced. They were outgunned and outnumbered, but surrender was not an option. She glanced at Dr. Elias Voss, who was monitoring the battle from a science station. Doctor, do you have any ideas? Trent asked, her voice tinged with desperation. Voss's eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. The Crucible. If we can channel its energy into the ship's systems, we might be able to create a temporary shield boost and turn the tide of the battle. Do it, Trent said. We don't have any other choice. Voss rushed to the lab, where the Crucible of Ascendancy was secured. He quickly calibrated the artifact, connecting it to the ship's power grid. As he activated the Crucible, a surge of energy pulsed through the Sentinel, causing the lights to flicker and the ship to hum with newfound power. Captain, the Crucible is active, Voss reported. You should see an increase in shield strength and weapon output. Good work, Doctor, Trent said. All hands prepare for counterattack. With the Crucible's energy coursing through the ship, the Sentinel's shields flared to life, absorbing the Xylarthian fire with renewed resilience. The ship's weapons glowed brighter, their blasts striking the enemy ships with devastating force. Target their engines, Trent ordered. We need to cripple them. The Sentinel's guns focused on the lead Xylarthian ship, pounding its engines until they exploded in a shower of sparks. The enemy vessel drifted helplessly, its weapons silenced. One down, Cole muttered, her eyes locked on the next target. The Sentinel moved with newfound agility, its enhanced systems allowing it to outmaneuver the remaining Xylarthian ships. One by one, the alien vessels fell to the Sentinel's onslaught until only wreckage remained. We did it! Harlow exclaimed. They're retreating. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Trent knew they couldn't afford to relax just yet. Good work, everyone. Let's assess the damage and prepare for any further attacks. As the crew set to work, Trent turned to Voss. The Crucible saved us today, but we need to understand its full capabilities. Keep working on it, and let me know what you find. Voss nodded, his face a mixture of exhaustion and determination. I will, Captain. We still have much to learn. In the aftermath of the battle, the Sentinel's crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage and prepare for their next move. Trent knew they had to stay one step ahead of the Xylarthians if they were to survive. As she stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars, Trent felt a renewed sense of purpose. The Crucible of Ascendancy was their greatest asset, but it was also a great responsibility. They had to use its power wisely and carefully, for the fate of humanity and their allies depended on it. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The Xylarthians would come back stronger and more determined, and the Sentinel had to be ready. With the Crucible and their newfound allies, they had a fighting chance. For now, Trent allowed herself a moment of relief. They had survived another day, and they were one step closer to unlocking the full potential of the Crucible. The journey ahead would be perilous, but with her crew by her side, Trent knew they could face any challenge that came their way. The trap had been sprung, but they had emerged victorious. Now, it was time to take the fight to the Xylarthians and ensure the survival of humanity and its allies. The UTS Sentinel drifted through the vast expanse of space, its engines purring quietly as it moved away from the site of their recent battle. Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the stars for any signs of threat. Despite their victory, the crew remained vigilant. The Xylarthians had proven to be a formidable enemy, and they couldn't afford to let their guard down. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Coalition fleet," Lieutenant Jason Harlow announced. "Put it through," Trent replied. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the image of Admiral Risha Tevra, the Coalition's chief strategist and a respected leader among the allied species. Her stern, yet wise features were familiar to Trent. "Captain Trent, I received your report. Excellent work on repelling the Xylarthian attack," Tevra said, her voice calm and authoritative. "Thank you, Admiral," Trent replied. "We couldn't have done it without the Crucible. Dr. Voss has made significant progress in understanding its capabilities." "Indeed," Tevra nodded. "We have much to discuss. Prepare to dock with the Coalition flagship. We need to strategize our next move." "Understood. We'll be there shortly," Trent said, ending the transmission. She turned to Harlow. "Set course for the Coalition flagship. Let's see what our allies have in mind." A few hours later, the Sentinel docked with the Coalition flagship, a massive vessel bristling with advanced technology from various allied species. Trent and her core team, Dr. Elias Voss, Lieutenant Aria Cole, and Sergeant Darius Kane, made their way to the conference room where Admiral Tevra awaited them. "Captain Trent, welcome," Tevra greeted them. "Please, take a seat." As they settled into their chairs, Tevra activated a holographic display showing the known territories of the Xylarthians and the Coalition's current positions. "We've gathered intelligence that suggests the Xylarthians are planning a major offensive," Tevra began. "Our sources indicate that they are focusing their efforts on a region known as the Maelstrom Cluster." "What's in the Maelstrom Cluster?" Kane asked, his brows furrowed. "An ancient repository of knowledge," Voss answered, his eyes wide with realization. "I've read about it in the Crucible's records. It contains artifacts and data that could potentially enhance their technology and power." "Precisely," Tevra said. "If the Xylarthians gain access to that repository, it could tip the balance of power in their favor. We need to stop them." Trent leaned forward, her mind racing with possibilities. "We need to form a strike team and hit them before they can secure the repository, but we can't do it alone." "Agreed," Tevra said. "We will allocate resources and personnel from various allied species to form a specialized task force." "Captain Trent, you will lead this mission." Trent nodded. "Understood, Admiral. We'll prepare immediately." Back on the Sentinel, the crew began preparations for the mission. Dr. Voss continued his work on the Crucible, trying to unlock more of its secrets. In the meantime, Cole coordinated with the Coalition's pilots to strategize their approach, while Kane oversaw the combat training for the newly formed task force. One evening, as the ship moved through space, Voss called Trent to the lab. "Captain, I think I've made another breakthrough." Trent arrived to find Voss standing before the Crucible, which was now glowing with a vibrant energy. "What did you find?" "The Crucible has revealed a new function," Voss said, his voice tinged with excitement. "It can enhance our neural capabilities, allowing us to interface directly with our ship's systems and even control certain aspects of it with our minds." Trent's eyes widened. "Are you saying we can pilot the Sentinel with our thoughts?" "In a manner of speaking, yes," Voss replied. "But it's more than just piloting. It can enhance our tactical awareness, improve reaction times, and even allow us to communicate more efficiently. This could give us a significant edge, Trent said, her mind racing with possibilities. Can we implement it in time for the mission? I believe so, Voss nodded. With your permiss, Ion, I'd like to begin the integration process immediately. Do it, Trent said, and keep me updated. As the crew prepared for the upcoming mission, Trent found herself reflecting on their recent encounters. The Xylarthians were not just an enemy, they were a species with their own history, motivations, and culture. She wondered if there might be a way to reach out to them, to find common ground, and perhaps even broker peace. But for now, the immediate threat loomed large. The Maelstrom cluster was their next target, and they needed to act swiftly. The day of the mission arrived, and the Coalition fleet gathered at the edge of the Maelstrom cluster. The task force, comprised of ships and personnel from various allied species, was ready for action. Trent stood on the bridge of the Sentinel, her eyes scanning the fleet assembled before her. All ships, this is Captain Trent. Our mission is to prevent the Xylarthians from accessing the repository in the Maelstrom cluster. Stay sharp, and may the stars guide us. The fleet surged forward, entering the turbulent region of space known as the Maelstrom cluster. The gravitational anomalies and energy storms made navigation challenging, but the Crucible's enhancements allowed the Sentinel to move with unprecedented agility. As they approached the repository, the Xylarthian fleet came into view, their ships arrayed in a defensive formation. Battle stations, Trent ordered. Engage the enemy and clear a path to the repository. The Sentinel's weapons roared to life, targeting the nearest Xylarthian ships. The Coalition fleet followed suit, and the void of space erupted in a furious exchange of fire. Shields holding at 90%, Harlow reported. We're taking heavy fire. Focus on the lead ship, Trent commanded. We need to break their formation. With the Crucible's enhancements, the Sentinel's crew operated with heightened efficiency. The ship moved through the battlefield with precision, its weapons striking the Xylarthian ships with devastating force. We're through, Cole shouted. The repository is in sight. All teams, proceed to the repository, Trent ordered. Secure the area and prevent the Xylarthians from accessing it. As the Sentinel approached the ancient structure, a massive Xylarthian dreadnought emerged from the shadows, its weapons trained on the Coalition fleet. Incoming, Kane warned. That ship's packing serious firepower. Divert all power to shields, Trent ordered, and prepare for evasive maneuvers. The dreadnought unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, slamming into the Sentinel's shields and causing the ship to shudder. Trent's mind raced as she searched for a way to neutralize the threat. Dr. Voss, can we use the Crucible to disable their weapons? Trent asked. It's risky, but it might work, Voss replied. I'll need to interface directly with their systems. Do it, Trent said, and hurry. Voss closed his eyes, focusing his thoughts on the Crucible. The artifact pulsed with energy, and a tendril of light extended from it, connecting with the Xylarthian dreadnought. For a moment, the massive ship's weapons flickered and then went dark. We did it, Voss exclaimed. Their weapons are offline. All ships, concentrate your fire on the dreadnought, Trent ordered. Take it down. The Coalition fleet unleashed a relentless barrage, targeting the now defenseless Xylarthian dreadnought. Explosions rippled across its hull, and the massive ship began to break apart. We're clear, Harlow reported. The dreadnought is neutralized. Good work, everyone, Trent said. Let's secure the repository and ensure the Xylarthians can't access it. As the Coalition forces moved to secure the ancient structure, Trent couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. They had thwarted the Xylarthians' plans, but the war was far from over. Back on the Sentinel, Voss continued his orc on the Crucible, unlocking more of its secrets. Each discovery brought them closer to understanding the true power of the artifact and how it could be used to turn the tide of the war. As the Sentinel cruised through space, Trent stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but she had faith in her crew and their mission. They had the Crucible, they had new allies, and they had a chance to change the future. The journey ahead would be difficult, but with her crew by her side, Trent knew they could face any challenge that came their way. The battle for the Maelstrom cluster had been won, but the war was far from over. The Xylarthians would return, and the Sentinel had to be ready. With the Crucible and their newfound allies, they had a fighting chance. For now, Trent allowed herself a moment of relief. They had survived another day, and they were one step closer to unlocking the full potential of the Crucible. The journey ahead would be perilous, but with her crew by her side, Trent knew they could face any challenge that came their way. The UTS Sentinel hovered in the void of space, docked at the massive Coalition flagship, the Zenith. Captain Mara Trent stood in the main briefing room, surrounded by representatives from various species who had come together to form a unified front against the Xylarthian threat. Admiral Risha Tevra presided over the meeting, her presence commanding respect and attention. Trent looked around the room, taking in the diverse faces of the Coalition. Humans, Xylarthians, Tathari, and others, species that had once been enemies or at best indifferent to one another, now shared a common purpose. The room buzzed with anticipation as Tevra called the meeting to order. "Representatives, we face an unprecedented threat," Tevra began. "The Xylarthians are powerful and relentless. They seek to dominate the galaxy, and if they succeed, none of our worlds will be safe." Trent stepped forward, her voice steady and resolute. "We have the Crucible of Ascendancy, an ancient artifact with the potential to tip the balance in our favor, but we cannot rely on it alone. We need to work together, sharing resources, knowledge, and strategies." A Tathari diplomat, his blue skin shimmering under the room's lights, raised his hand. "Captain Trent, how can we be sure that the Crucible will not fall into the wrong hands? Its power is immense and could be a danger to all of us." Dr. Elias Voss, who had been standing quietly beside Trent, stepped forward. "The Crucible's power is immense, but it requires a deep understanding to wield properly. We are taking every precaution to ensure its safe use. Our goal is to enhance our capabilities to defend against the Xylarthians, not to dominate." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. The Xylarthian ambassador, a tall, imposing figure with sharp features, spoke up next. "We have faced the Xylarthians' wrath firsthand. Our fleets are ready to join the fight, but we need a coordinated strategy. The Maelstrom cluster showed us that we can win battles, but we need to win the war." Trent nodded. "Agreed. We need to strike at their key installations, disrupt their supply lines, and gather intelligence on their movements. We can't wait for them to come to us. We need to take the fight to them." Tevra activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. "Our intelligence has identified several key targets. These include a major Xylarthian shipyard, a communications hub, and a research facility where they are developing new weapons. We propose a multi-pronged assault to hit these targets simultaneously." The Coalition representatives leaned in, studying the display. Plans were made, fleets were allocated, and alliances were solidified. The room buzzed with energy as the diverse group of leaders worked together, united by a common goal. Back on the Sentinel, Trent gathered her core team in the briefing room. "We have our orders. Our target is the Xylarthian research facility. Dr. Voss, I need you to continue your work on the Crucible and prepare it for deployment. Cole, coordinate with the other fleet commanders to ensure our approach is synchronized. Kane, make sure our ground teams are ready for action." The team nodded, each member focused and determined. They had faced impossible odds before and come out stronger. Now, with the Coalition backing them, they had a real chance to turn the tide of the war. The Coalition fleet moved into position, each ship prepared for the upcoming assault. The Sentinel led the charge toward the Xylarthian research facility, its advanced systems humming with the energy of the Crucible. As they approached their target, Trent stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the enemy installation. "All ships, prepare for engagement," she ordered. "Let's show them what we're made of." The Coalition fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. The Xylarthian defenses responded in kind, and the void of space lit up with the fury of battle. The Sentinel weaved through the chaos, its enhanced systems allowing it to outmaneuver the enemy fire. "Shields holding at 90%, Harlow reported. "We're taking some hits, but nothing we can't handle." "Focus on the research facility," Trent commanded. "We need to neutralize their operations there." The Sentinel's weapons targeted the facility, unleashing a torrent of firepower. Explosions rippled across the structure, and Xylarthian ships scrambled to defend it. The coalition fleet pressed the attack, their combined firepower overwhelming the enemy defenses. "Ground teams, prepare for deployment," Kane ordered. "We're going in hot." As the Sentinel moved closer to the facility, dropships launched from its hangar bay, carrying ground troops and equipment. Kane led the assault, his team of elite soldiers ready for action. The dropships descended to the facility's surface, landing amidst heavy enemy fire. Kane's team disembarked, weapons at the ready. "Move out! We need to secure the facility and retrieve any intelligence we can find." The ground battle was intense, with Xylarthian soldiers putting up fierce resistance. Kane's team fought with precision and determination, their training and experience giving them the edge. They pushed forward, securing key points and neutralizing enemy forces. "Captain, we're inside the main research lab," Kane reported. "We found their data cores. Dr. Voss, we need you here to extract the information." Voss, escorted by a security team, made his way to the lab. He quickly set up his equipment, interfacing with the Xylarthian systems. "I'm in. This will take a few minutes." Trent monitored the progress from the bridge, her heart pounding. "Stay sharp, everyone. We need that data." The minutes ticked by as Voss worked, the battle raging around them. Finally, he looked up, a triumphant smile on his face. "Got it. We have their research data and plans." "Excellent," Trent said. "All teams, prepare for extraction. We've done what we came here to do." The coalition forces began their withdrawal, their mission accomplished. The Xylarthian research facility lay in ruins, their plans disrupted. As the Sentinel and the rest of the fleet pulled back, Trent felt a surge of hope. They had struck a significant blow against their enemy. Back on the coalition flagship, Admiral Tevra addressed the gathered representatives. "This victory is a testament to what we can achieve when we stand together. The data we recovered will give us valuable insights into the Xylarthians' plans and weaknesses. We will continue to fight, and we will prevail." The room erupted in applause, the coalition more united than ever. Trent stood with her team, their faces reflecting the determination and resolve that had carried them through countless battles. They had rallied the galaxy, forging new alliances and striking at the heart of their enemy. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but they had taken a crucial step forward. As Trent looked out at the stars, she knew that the fight was far from over. But with the Crucible of Ascendancy and the strength of their allies, they had a real chance to change the future. The galaxy was united, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle for survival continued, but hope burned brighter than ever. The UTS Sentinel led the coalition fleet through the dark expanse of space toward the Xylarthian homeworld. The coalition had rallied, and their combined forces were prepared for a decisive battle. The Crucible of Ascendancy pulsed with energy, ready to be deployed at a moment's notice. Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the star-streaked void. This was it, the culmination of their efforts, the moment that would determine the fate of the galaxy. "All ships, prepare for battle," Trent ordered. "This is our final push. We need to hit them hard and fast." The coalition fleet moved into formation, their weapons primed and shields raised. The Xylarthian homeworld loomed ahead, a planet shrouded in darkness and bristling with defensive installations. "Captain, we're picking up multiple enemy signatures," Lieutenant Jason Harlow reported. "Their fleet is mobilizing." Trent nodded. "All hands, battle stations. This is it, people." The Xylarthian fleet surged forward, their sleek, menacing ships cutting through the void like knives. The coalition responded in kind, and the void of space erupted in a fury of fire and explosions. The Sentinel's guns roared to life, targeting the nearest Xylarthian ships. Explosions rippled across their hulls, but the enemy vessels remained relentless. "Shields holding at 70%, Harlow reported. "We're taking heavy fire." "Focus on the lead ship," Trent commanded. "We need to break their formation." The Sentinel weaved through the battlefield with precision, its enhanced systems allowing it to outmaneuver the enemy fire. Lieutenant Aria Cole piloted the ship with unmatched skill, her hands a blur on the controls. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Tevra," Ensign Jada Lee announced. "Put it through," Trent replied. Admiral Risha Tevra's image appeared on the view screen. "Captain Trent, Our intelligence indicates that the Xylarthian command ship is coordinating their fleet. If we take it out, we can disrupt their entire operation. Understood, Admiral, Trent said. We'll handle it. Good luck, Captain. Tevra out. Trent turned to her crew. You heard the Admiral. Target the command ship and give it everything we've got. The Sentinels surged forward, cutting through the chaos of the battlefield. The Xylarthian command ship, a massive vessel bristling with weaponry, loomed ahead. All weapons, concentrate fire on the command ship, Trent ordered. Let's bring it down. The Sentinels' guns unleashed a torrent of firepower, striking the command ship with devastating force. The enemy vessel returned fire, and the Sentinels shuddered under the impact. Shields at 50%, Harlow reported. We need to hit them harder. Dr. Elias Voss, monitoring the Crucible from the science lab, called out over the comm. Captain, I can channel the Crucible's energy into our weapons. It will amplify our firepower significantly. Do it, Doctor, Trent said. We need every advantage we can get. Voss activated the Crucible, and a surge of energy pulsed through the Sentinel. The ship's weapons glowed brighter, their blasts striking the Xylarthian command ship with renewed intensity. Captain, their shields are failing, Cole reported. We're breaking through. Keep up the pressure, Trent commanded. We can't let them recover. The Sentinels' guns roared to life once more. Their enhanced fire were tearing through the enemy ship's defenses. Explosions rippled across the command ship's hull, and the massive vessel began to break apart. They're going down, Harlow exclaimed. We did it. The Xylarthian command ship exploded in a brilliant burst of light, and the enemy fleet faltered. With their command structure disrupted, the Xylarthian ships began to retreat, their formation breaking apart. All ships, press the attack, Trent ordered. Drive them back. The coalition fleet surged forward, their combined firepower overwhelming the disorganized Xylarthian forces. One by one, the enemy ships fell, their wreckage scattering across the void. We're pushing them back, Cole shouted. They're retreating. Cheers erupted on the bridge as the coalition fleet continued their advance. The Xylarthians, their command structure in disarray, had no choice but to fall back. As the battle raged on, Trent received another transmission from Admiral Tevra. Captain Trent, we've detected a massive energy signature on the surface of the Xylarthian homeworld. It appears to be their primary power source. If we take it out, we can cripple their entire infrastructure. Understood, Admiral, Trent said. We're on it. The Sentinel descended toward the Xylarthian homeworld, its weapons primed and ready. The surface was a sprawling metropolis of dark, jagged structures, illuminated by the glow of the massive energy source. Ground teams, prepare for deployment, Trent ordered. Kane, lead the assault. We need to take out that power source. Sergeant Darius Kane nodded. Understood, Captain. We'll get it done. The Sentinel's dropships launched from the hangar bay, carrying Kane and his team to the surface. They landed amidst heavy enemy fire, their weapons blazing as they fought their way toward the power source. Move out, Kane shouted. We need to reach that power source and plant the charges. The ground battle was fierce, with Xylarthian soldiers putting up a desperate defense. But Kane's team fought with determination and skill, pushing forward despite the odds. We're almost there, Kane called out. Hold the line. As they reached the massive energy generator, Kane's team planted the charges and set the timers. Charges set. Let's move. The team fell back, fighting their way to the extraction point. The charges detonated with a massive explosion, and the power source was obliterated. The Xylarthian homeworld was plunged into darkness, their infrastructure crippled. Mission accomplished, Kane reported. We're heading back. The coalition fleet, now free of enemy resistance, regrouped and prepared for the final push. The Xylarthians were in disarray, their forces scattered and their homeworld defenseless. All ships, prepare for the final assault, Trent ordered. Let's end this. The coalition fleet surged forward, their weapons blazing. The Xylarthians, now leaderless and weakened, could not withstand the onslaught. One by one their ships fell, and the coalition forces pressed the attack. As the last of the Xylarthian ships was destroyed, a cheer erupted across the coalition fleet. The battle was over, and the galaxy was safe. Back on the coalition flagship, Admiral Tevra addressed the gathered representatives. Today, we have achieved a great victory. The Xylarthian threat has been neutralized, and the galaxy is free once more. We owe our success to the bravery and determination of our coalition forces." The room erupted in applause, the representatives celebrating their hard-won victory. Trent stood with her team, their faces reflecting the relief and triumph of the moment. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. The Crucible of Ascendancy had given them the edge they needed, but it was the strength of their unity and the courage of their allies that had carried them through. As Trent looked out at the stars, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The war was over, but the journey was far from complete. There would be new challenges, new threats, and new adventures. But with her crew by her side and the coalition united, she knew they could face anything that came their way. The galaxy was at peace, and for the first time in a long while, there was hope for a brighter future. The final showdown had been won, and the legacy of the Crucible would guide them into a new era of exploration and discovery. Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge of the Sentinel, her heart filled with pride and determination. The galaxy was theirs to protect, and together they would ensure its safety for generations to come. The UTS Sentinel cruised through the tranquil expanse of space, its mission now complete. The coalition fleet had disbanded, each ship returning to its homeworld to rebuild and celebrate their newfound freedom. On board the Sentinel, the crew was abuzz with a mix of relief and excitement. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The Xylarthian threat had been neutralized, and the galaxy was free once more. But the cost had been high, and the path ahead was still uncertain. "Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Tevra," Lieutenant Jason Harlow announced. "Put it through," Trent replied. Admiral Risha Tevra's image appeared on the view screen, her expression one of calm satisfaction. "Captain Trent, I wanted to personally congratulate you and your crew on a job well done. The galaxy owes you a great debt." "Thank you, Admiral," Trent said. "But we couldn't have done it without the coalition and the bravery of our allies." Tevra nodded. "Indeed, the victory is a testament to what we can achieve when we stand together. But now we must focus on rebuilding and ensuring that such a threat never arises again." Trent agreed. "What are our next steps?" "We will establish a council of representatives from all coalition species," Tevra explained. "Their task will be to maintain peace and cooperation and to oversee the distribution of resources and technology. The Crucible of Ascendancy will be central to this effort." Trent glanced at Dr. Elias Voss, who had been standing quietly beside her. "Dr. Voss has made significant progress in understanding the Crucible. It will be a valuable tool in our efforts." Voss stepped forward, his voice filled with a sense of purpose. "The Crucible has the potential to enhance our capabilities and bring about a new era of prosperity, but it must be used responsibly and wisely." Tevra smiled. "I'm confident that with your guidance, we can achieve that. Captain Trent, I would like to invite you and your crew to the inaugural meeting of the Council. Your experience and insights will be invaluable." "It would be an honor, Admiral," Trent said. "We'll make our way there immediately." The Sentinel docked at the newly established Coalition headquarters, a sprawling space station that served as a symbol of unity and cooperation. Trent and her core team, Voss, Lieutenant Aria Cole, and Sergeant Darius Kane, made their way to the Grand Hall where the Council meeting was to be held. The hall was filled with representatives from various species, each one a testament to the diversity and strength of the Coalition. Tevra stood at the head of the room, flanked by other key leaders. "Welcome, everyone," Tevra began. "Today marks the beginning of a new era. Together, we have overcome a great threat, and now we must build a future of peace and prosperity. The Crucible of Ascendancy will be central to our efforts, and we must ensure it is used for the benefit of all." Trent and her team took their seats, listening as the representatives discussed plans for reconstruction, resource distribution, and technological advancement. Voss presented his findings on the Crucible, emphasizing the need for careful study and responsible use. As the meeting progressed, Trent felt a sense of hope and determination. The galaxy was healing, and the Coalition was committed to ensuring a brighter future for all its inhabitants. Back on the Sentinel, Trent gathered her crew in the briefing room. "We've accomplished something incredible," she said. her voice filled with pride. "But our work isn't over. The galaxy will continue to face challenges, and we must be ready to meet them." The crew nodded, their faces reflecting their shared sense of purpose. They had faced impossible odds and emerged stronger for it. "Dr. Voss, continue your research on the Crucible," Trent continued. "Cole, coordinate with the Coalition to ensure our fleet is ready for any future threats. Kane, oversee the training of new recruits and ensure our ground forces are prepared." As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Trent felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had faced the darkness and emerged into the light. The future was uncertain, but with the Crucible and the strength of their unity, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Months passed, and the Coalition flourished. The Council of Representatives worked tirelessly to maintain peace and cooperation, and the Crucible of Ascendancy became a symbol of hope and progress. Under Trent's leadership, the Sentinel continued to explore the galaxy, forging new alliances and discovering new frontiers. One day, as the Sentinel cruised through the stars, Voss called Trent to the lab. "Captain, I've made another breakthrough with the Crucible." Trent arrived to find Voss standing before the artifact, which pulsed with a steady, rhythmic light. "What did you find?" "The Crucible has revealed a new function," Voss explained. "It can generate a field of energy that enhances the natural abilities of any life form within its range. It could revolutionize medicine, agriculture, and even environmental restoration." Trent's eyes widened. "This could change everything. We need to share this with the Coalition immediately." Voss nodded. "I've already prepared a report. With this technology, we can address many of the galaxy's most pressing challenges." Trent felt a surge of excitement. The Crucible continued to reveal its secrets, offering new possibilities and new hope. As they prepared to present their findings to the Council, she felt a deep sense of pride in her crew and their mission. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and with the Crucible of Ascendancy, they were poised to unlock its full potential. The future was bright, and together, they would ensure that it remained so. Captain Mara Trent stood on the bridge of the Sentinel, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was theirs to protect, and with the strength of their unity and the power of the Crucible, they would face whatever challenges came their way. The journey had been long and difficult, but they had emerged victorious. The final chapter of their story had been written, but new adventures awaited, and with her crew by her side, Trent knew they were ready for anything. The galaxy was at peace, and the legacy of the Crucible would guide them into a new era of exploration and discovery. The stars stretched out before them, filled with endless possibilities, and together they would continue to explore, to protect, and to ascend.